So a few weeks back, out of the 6th anniversary celebration, we got to see gameplay with the brand new Rhinar Armory deck that releases this week. Now, out of that video, we did get to see all of the spoilers from this deck, but we didn't have the actual deck list itself, which, let's be honest, is pretty important to determine the value of this deck, both in actual monetary value, but also more importantly in teaching and pick up and play type value. And now that we've seen it, I'm very happy to say this deck rocks. It's probably in the top 3 Armory decks that we've seen so far. So today, let's go over the list and talk about why I think that it's so awesome.
A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando.
Hey there, my Flesh and Blood friends. Welcome back to the channel for, that's right, a Flesh and Blood Tuesday cast. But hey, we just got, hours before I'm shooting this, the deck list for Armory Deck Rhinar, which releases this Friday, which is going to be fun because we're all at Worlds. It's not legal for Worlds, but it'll be legal for play at Worlds weekend. So that's kind of fun. And then another fun fact is, I was asking my store how many did we get, right? Usually they're only able to get like 12. Maybe in some cases they got a little extra than that. They got a lot. So maybe the winds of change are finally starting to happen on Armory. Maybe it was just a fluke. We will see going forward, but that's extremely, extremely, extremely exciting. So I went ahead and I made one so that we could just look at one easy shot together, because sometimes the list is better. So before we go into, the card's already up, you can see them, right? Before we read off the list and the stuff, this is basically the heavy hitters deck on steroids. And by that, I mean the heavy hitters Blitz Precon. It's all about, it leans super heavy into beat chest, which is a mechanic I really, really, really like because, whether or not all of the cards in this are going to end up in, competitive Rhinar meta, this deck, I think just absolutely, the deck and the theme of the deck and the simplicity of beat chest and what it's trying to do with the targeted discard and the double intimidate in most cases with Rhinar, I think this is really, really, really strong in terms of a learning tool. So I really, really, really appreciate this. And I can speak from my personal experience, not having a ton of brute experience, right, in the grand scheme of things. When I went to Queenstown, the game that I did on stream actually was the Rhinar Armory deck, Rhinar Blitz Precon deck. Picked it up super fast. It just gelled. It was super easy. I really appreciate it, and I really think that this deck has a lot to offer a new player coming in from that aspect, okay? So let's go into the list. So we're looking at Assault and Battery, right? We do have that in the red and the yellow, full rainbow. So the only cards that I'm not going to read threes because just assume everything I read has a 3 unless I point out that it's a 1 of, okay? So we have Assault and Battery, red and yellow. We have Bear Destruction ×3. That's one of the new ones. Bear Swing, also one of the new ones. Bonebreaker Bellow, of course. Now we have one Massacre in here. Remember again, Massacre, if it's discarded, does the thing, right? So you get a stack on top of that. This is a 1 of, but the card's not all that expensive. It's not all that hard to find. It's a very, very, very easy upgrade that someone could go probably pull out your Assault and Batteries for, would be my guess, right? It seems like a pretty, again, the deck being easily upgradable, very intuitive. I really, really, really like it. Okay, and we have Rawhide Rumble ×3, Show No Mercy ×1. And, there's Alpha Rampage out there. That one's not a targeted discard, right? You get it. So maybe that one doesn't work as well. But Show No Mercy seems great with this. I don't know if you want 3 Show No Mercies, but again, we're not in upgrade range. What they're doing is they're giving folks big swings, pun intended, I suppose here. Well, the big swing's not actually in the deck, but another card you could just straight up go into. This is really, really, really good. I think this is really, really good. There's a lot of the play lines are very, very, very easy to put together. And I think someone can pick this up and just roll with it pretty well. Get multiple intimidate, swinging club. Again, is the deck super power? Is it on the power level of the Aurora deck? I don't think it is. But I think in terms of being a good Armory deck to go out and buy and being really good to learn with, I think it puts it in, as I mentioned in the intro, I think the top 3 with Aurora and Ira, at least my initial impression, okay? In the yellows now, we have Assault and Battery ×3, Bear Swing ×3, and then Beast Within ×1, right? I actually really, I only own 2 so I'm like very biased on this because I only own 2 Beast Withins. I'm actually borrowing one from Kevin for this upcoming weekend. And now I'm going to have a third one. So that's awesome. I also think that this being a one of is not smart just from like a potential upgrade pass standpoint, but from the fact that like this card has screwed many a brute in the past. Now, to be clear, that's really when it's like doing the targeted discard thing or the non-targeted discard thing, and then like you miss. So, and you can still miss if you do the targeted. So I think having it in as a one of and trying to have them do it on like the combo is probably the right thing to do. But I don't think that you want more of these in this build for a newbie because, like, again, you get screwed on this card. It feels bad. Like, there's not very many brutes out there that haven't been burned on this at least once. And you know who you are. All right, then we have Pound Town, and then the new card Smell Fear ×3, which is also present in the blue. Not the red, though. Not the red. Which I think we knew going in because it was shown in blue-yellow, but, you know, a brute can hope. A brute can hope. So in the blue, we have the new Alpha Instinct card. That's really good. Barraging Beatdown ×3. I said I wasn't going to say ×3, and then I am. But then we've got Blue Bonebreaker Bellow. We have Clearing Bellow for the Intimidate. That seems like a very easy one to go in and upgrade with other blues as you find them. Smashback Alehorn, Smell Fear, and then Wreck Romp, and you know that's staying in there. And then, of course, the equipment suites. No surprise to anyone. The new Goliath Gauntlets, which I love. But then you've got the Echo Cask, the chess piece, which is really, really, really sweet for what a lot of the cards in here are trying to do. And then the Trampling Trackers to round out that equipment suite. So overall, yes, like I said, I know we talked as we went through, and I think that's okay. This list is really pretty intuitive overall in terms of, you know, I'm a little surprised they don't have Yellow Bonebreaker Bellow. But again, they do, to be fair, they have Smell Fear in there. So I think, which, you know, they functionally kind of serve the same purpose, really, overall. What would be interesting out of, I do think Club is the correct play in all of this because, you know, again, a Bonebreaker Bellow, or I guess in this case, is Smell Fear, does Smell Fear work? Now I got to check myself. Does Smell Fear work on the Club? I have to ask that. Next Brute Attack, it does work on the Club. Okay, so we're golden there. Okay, but again, either one of those into your Club with the Chuck a 6 and Intimidate is pretty good. So I think that's good. I mean, the alternative is like what they did in the pre-con, which was Claw and then the Ballbreaker. I believe it was Ballbreaker, but the duel there. I think Club is the right play just for simplicity. And again, you can always just swing Club, which is pretty good value too for 4. So in terms of weapons, right? Usually you're pitching a blue into it. So I think this one, again, ticks all the boxes in terms of what we would want out of an Armory deck. I mean, sure, there's going to be someone out there who, like, you know, wants more value out of it or something, and that's fair feedback. You know, the question of, in terms of, you know, if you look at most of the Armory decks, let's backtrack. The early Armory decks, most of the cards that came out of there that were super attractive were like the equipment pieces. Like we had Savage Sash, and sure, we have like Run Roughshod, which is still very high demand, especially as a rare for a Sage. But you know, you look at like Boltyn, and after that, the equipment was largely kind of the big draws. You know, with 1 or 2 of the cards out of there. But it kind of shifted later. Like if you look at Aurora's deck, that equipment doesn't really get used in main play, but the cards did. I think in this case, if you're going, you know, if you were to like do a full constructed deck out of Rhinar, I think you might, there's an argument, like if you're trying to go this, I think you might play the chess piece. You know, I know Savage, I mean, again, you can still do the thing with Savage Sash, so I think you still play Savage Sash, which, you know, I don't know that the value lies necessarily in the equipment here, but I think this whole package together is really, really, really pretty good. And again, I can't say enough about, I think this is really intuitive. You know, when I look at it, like, it's really not complicated to put the lines together, right? You want to do the thing, discard a 6, and then do the thing. And then sometimes if you are able to pop the chess piece and go, or you have the stacked cards in hand or whatever, you can go twice with, like, you know, your Bear Swing or whatever, or sorry, it would be Bear Destruction in that case, excuse me, right? But either way, it's very easy to see the lines together, and it's not that complicated to put them together. The only place where you get in trouble, perhaps as a new player, is, the number of cards you have to have in your hand. But that's not really news in terms of what this class faces. So I'm really, really, really pleased with this, and I'd love to hear folks' feedback below. To be clear, I think a lot of times when we look at Armory decks, we're like, oh, this doesn't necessarily change anything. And in terms of the grand meta, I think that's probably true in this case. But what I want is something that's going to be on the shelf that my people can pick up and swing big green club at. Or Kodachi, well, I guess Autumn's Edge in that case, or Edge of Autumn, excuse me. But you get my point. I think this is a top 3 armor deck. That's enough for me. Thanks for watching, and go Commando.